Hey there, small business rock stars. What if the biggest break in your business isn't a giant leap, but a 15-minute task that you've been avoiding?
Yes, or that email that you keep putting off, the small step that's lingering in the back of your mind. That's what today is all about. Small aligned actions that create big wins.
Absolutely. And if you are feeling stuck or overwhelmed or like your to-do list is running this show, then this is the episode for you to get engaged in. We're going to show you how to take action that actually matters.
Yes, yes. And I am Kylene Montgomery with Rise, Shine, Smile. That is the wellness pillar of our success group. And we are also the authors of a new book that you can find on Amazon called The Gratitude Shift. Here, I have it too.
Oh, there you go.
Um, and you can find it on Amazon. I think I said that.
Absolutely. And I'm Aaron Montgomery, the author of this book, The Fundamentals of Business Success. And you are watching Small Business Saturdays live. We are actually live here. This is your weekly show for falling back in love with what you get to do each day. We're moving into another visual here. We're moving into the pollinate stage of the fundamental formula over here. Oops, wrong way. Get my finger there. The action implementation. And this week we're going to focus on utilizing our SVPs to implement action into our daily pursuit. Who knew, right? We could use our SVPs for that as well. And so whether you are joining live or catching the replay, we'd love for you to hit that share button, invite your fellow small business owners to watch along with you here today.
Yes, yes. Let's spread the wealth. Smash that like button. It does not come out naturally. But like it, drop a comment, and let us know what one small step that you're going to commit to this week.
Awesome. Yep. Looking forward to talking to you guys. Let's get pumped up with a little bit of intro, and then we will get right into it.
Dark days, overwhelmed, trapped in a maze. Small business owner, stress had me in a daze. Every problem piled up, couldn't catch a break. Thought I couldn't make it, my dreams were at stake. But then I found a group that changed my whole perspective. Our success group of a community so effective. We all chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke through, we rise above. No more feeling stuck, we're fueled by love. Our small business is shining, reaching new heights. With the support of our success group, we're taking flight. The power is strong, the vision so clear. Building our dreams with no more fear. Together we're resilient, unstoppable force. With our success group.
Let's talk some business.
All right. Well, hello to Barb. Good afternoon, everyone, from sunny North Central Minnesota.
Hang on, Aaron. Playing the video.
No, it's not. It's probably wherever you've got it open when you were sharing it.
Oh, okay. I swear I didn't touch anything.
Yeah, just like before, huh?
Right. I'm staying over here. I'm good.
All right. Well, go ahead and close whatever other window you've got open there that's playing the music in the background. But
All right, I did. Okay. Sensitive over here.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
Restart.
Uh,
I said, let's just restart.
reset. Okay. Can we cut this part? Anyhow, hi, Barb. And thank you so much for being here. It is not sunny here yet, but I think we're on the way. Spring is wanting to show up, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
April showers bring May flowers, right?
That's right. That's right. So, and then we've got Rena checking in. Hello and happy Saturday to Rena. So we are diving into this discussion about the fundamental formula and how we use our SVPs to also build action implementation. How do we get into action? So we've got our three pillars here, and we're going to start off with the pillar of mindset. We'll get our minds right as we dive into this topic here today. And I guess this has always been my thing. And I think I struggle a little bit because I am kind of an action oriented person. And I know that's not the way everybody is wired. And so sometimes I miss that fact. But I think we can be honest and say that we all want that big win. We all want success, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be here looking at ways to build a business that we love. The people on the outside looking in, though, they only see the final success, right? And so from that mindset, right, we didn't see. We have a light bulb. We have light because of Edison,
Mm-hmm.
and we only think about the light bulb. I mean, obviously there's stories attributed to this, but in that moment, people didn't see the 10,000 ways that Edison found to not make a light bulb. Right? And so it took him continuous action, 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 action. Success stories don't start with the finish line, right? They all start with action. And honestly, your comfort zone is the enemy. It's the edge of where growth begins. The key is to stretch it, not to snap it. Right. So, Kylene, talk to us about that.
Yeah. Well, I think of like my favorite story to share when I think of getting outside your comfort zone is the first time I started going live. I mean, I thought in a way the world was ending. My nervous system was just on fire. I was thinking of everything, but I didn't go from that panic mode to polish, and I'm still not at polish, right? We're still getting better every day as we got our rough start here today. But I built confidence through small reps, surviving those risks. And so,
Yeah. I mean, that I remember that, right? Like when I would kind of push you a little bit into saying, "Hey, Kylene, you should probably go live for your business, right? You should get on a live video, right?" Like you would literally get nauseous,
yeah,
like physically, right?
for sure. Yeah. And then the other part about it is I spent so much time preparing it. Like I almost was in speech class, I'd have every possible word I could ever say written out so I could see it as I was talking. And the message didn't come across very well as a result. However, I survived the risk, right? I'm still here. Aaron
Yeah.
still invites me to join him here.
She is still here. Well, but you didn't go immediately like live, right? You didn't take
Oh.
that big leap like that. Your comfort zone was here. You didn't go, "Oh, well, I'm just going to jump way over here and smash right through it."
Yeah.
Because I've never seen anybody, I mean, some people will push a little further than others just out of sheer kind of desire. But I've never seen anybody go from 0 to 1,000,000 and be successful and sustainable with that, right? Because that jump from 0 to wherever you're going is going to actually get even messier, right? You're not going to do it great the first time, and then you're going to go, "Oh, well, I went, I did the live, I did the whatever thing, and it was a failure. So I'm going to go back to my comfort zone."
Yep.
We expand our comfort zone, we have to push up against it. So I'm curious, those of you guys that are tuned in live right now, can you think of a time where you weren't really good at something and then you leaned into it and you continue to get better and to now where you feel like it's, I'm not going to call it a strength, but you feel confident and comfortable and competent in being able to do that. For Kylene, it is the live video thing, I think, right? Is there anything else that stands out for you, Kylene?
Even just teaching yoga, I remember at first, I had to have everything written out again that I'd refer to, and therefore I didn't share as confidently as I do now over time, right? Every time you do something, you get a little bit better. You learn a little bit and adjust and keep moving forward. So, but yeah, teaching yoga again was something that I would say showed up again for that nervous system.
Yeah, for sure. And I, for me, it definitely is giving presentations and the public speaking thing. When I first started doing it, I was terrible. It was really bad. Very first. So I'd just gotten into the t-shirt printing space. This was back in the early 2000s. And the guy that I was working for, he gave presentations all the time. He taught people how to use Corel and Photoshop and things like that and do color separations. And anyhow, we were at a show and he wasn't able to do one of his seminars. And so he said, okay, Aaron, you're going to do it. And I was like, no, I'm not. He's like, yes, you are. And I did it. And I got through half of the slides, and and it was terrible. And fortunately, the presenter that was after me was a really nice guy, and actually became a good friend of mine. And he was very, very gentle, but he's like, time's up, dude. I'm only halfway through. And yeah, it was terrible. And so, that kind of pushed me off course for a little bit. But then, I said, okay, well, I do want to do this, right? I do have this desire for impact and seeing how I can help people. But I didn't go and just say, okay, give me a room full of 1,000 people and I'm going to do this. Right? I actually asked my friend Terry Combs, who I looked up to as like a really good speaker, and I still do, because Terry can tell the same 8 stories over and over again, and you're listening to the same story, but you can't wait for him to tell it again. Like that's that's Terry. For those of you that know Terry, that's Terry, right? And like I used to go, yeah, I've kind of heard that, but then I'm like, no, he always puts a little twist on it, or it's always kind of, oh, I want to see how he's going to tie this into the point he's trying to make, right? And so
That's awesome.
it's going to become a joke, and so, anyways, that's what I did. I said, Terry, can we do a seminar together? And we did. And we put our slide deck together for the first time. He's got like maybe one word on the slide, right? Like Mr. Minimal. I've got basically my entire script up on the slide, not knowing that, right? People are either going to read or they're going to listen. They're not going to do both.
I remember that, actually.
Yeah. And so I helped Terry make his slides a little bit better. He helped me tone mine down. And again, I don't feel like I'm still perfect. I still work really hard on it, but I have a process. I have a system, right? And Chandler says, I can't even see Aaron being shy of speaking, Mr. Facilitator. I'm glad to know you were human before you were a mind star. And, interestingly enough, though, we talk about the limiting beliefs and the stories that we've written. I think we've talked about that pretty in depth here on Small Business Saturdays. The reason why I struggled with it so badly is I had a story that I told myself. I messed up one time when I was reading in church, and I didn't realize it at the time. And I mean, it wasn't until, 20 years later, 30 years later, even, that I even kind of started to recognize it and notice it. But it was a story I was telling myself. And once I cleared that story out, then I was able to lean into it more and get better and better and better. So I'm again curious for you guys, where's a place where, at first you were afraid of it, but you were willing to lean in and start taking some action, little small steps. And now you feel like you're at least competent with that skill or talent potentially, right? So yeah, I'm really curious to hear other stories like that. And so with that though, Kylene, I guess let's wrap up the mindset piece here so we can get into the fundamentals. Progress, action, right? So the whole idea here is how do we take action, and how do we take impactful action that's going to be aligned with our strengths, values, and passions? It starts with this mindset shift. Say that 12 times fast, right? And not curse. Boy, I was close. You talked about this, Kylene. We've got to stop waiting for perfect, right? We got to stop trying to create the perfect moment, overdo it, overthink it.
Yep.
We have to start trusting that small, consistent action that's going to build belief. Right? You don't need to bulldoze your fears. You don't need to take the next step. We just need to trust our instincts. And I actually tell this quite a bit in some of my seminars and stuff like that, because a realization that I had is 9 times out of 10, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but Kylene, I think most people would agree that 9 times out of 10, our instinct, our gut, whatever it is that you call that, it's right. It's leading you in the right direction, right? Yeah. But there's always that 10th time that seems like, whoa, what happened there, right? I followed my instinct and that went badly, right? And so, what? Go ahead, Kylene. No,
I was going to say that's what we hang on to.
Yeah, exactly.
That one time
we hang on to that 10th time because it was painful, right? It hurt. It was scary. It didn't go as we had expected it to go, and so now all of a sudden, I mean, do the math. 90% of the time, your instinct's right, but that 10% that keeps us stuck.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, anybody ever had any hindsight, like something turned out right? Um, the what's his name? I just Garth Brooks, right? Some of God's greatest gifts or unanswered prayers, right? That kind of thing. Like, the reality is that 10th time was not a failure. It was not a bad thing. It was not, it was just something we needed to learn. It was something that we needed to grow. It was something that we needed to change our focus, right? Like, we were following our instinct, but we got, too absorbed in one path. And we were so focused on that path that we kind of needed to get smacked upside the head a little bit, for lack of a better way to say that, to realign us to what the reality is. And so talk to us a little bit about that real quick before we get into the fundamentals, Kylene.
Yeah. I mean, I think it goes back to the stories that you tell yourself about that experience. You can frame it as, I'm no good and go back to those old ways. But my favorite quote is "Everything you want is on the other side of fear" by Jack Canfield. And I truly believe, that comfort zone is so powerful. But as soon as we make that shift in our brain and believe that whatever experience that we're having, what can we learn from it and grow from, will help us take that first little itty bitty action and listening to your instinct instead of creating a story around it.
Yeah. I love it.
Trusting that.
Yep. That's thank you for sharing that, Kylene. All right, let's get Chandler's comment here. She says, "Oh man, networking with a chamber and speaking in front of the chamber, right? Like, networking can be a scary thing, right? But it can be useful." And I've leaned into some play. I was never a networking guy. In fact, if you were to kind of say, "Hey, go to this like kind of just lead exchange networking kind of deal," I'd be like, "Hey, thanks, but no thanks." But I found what's right for me. I found ways to connect and engage and be part of a networking event, but it's also about how do you support each other. So that's cool. All right. Chandler also says, I also had that limiting belief that no one would see my story and where I've come. It's why the grace period is so important to our community and to our state, really, right? That giving people, that's why I love Chandler is executive director and founder of a nonprofit called the Grace Period. And the Grace Period really is the organization that Chandler needed at one point in her life. So she is who she's serving. And it's really cool. But also then once you start saying, well, maybe people will listen to my story, then all of a sudden you start seeing how important it is to your community, to the state, to other people, right? You'll find other people with a similar story. And Kylene, I think that's why I am always harping so much on the biggest action you can take for your business is just share your story.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, you're always about being genuine, and those experiences you had, whether they were great experiences or what, they were the experiences that made you the amazing person that you are today. And that's part of your story, and that sharing that will help others.
Yeah.
It's just, we have to be brave enough to share it, right?
Absolutely. And, at the end of the day, that's the action that we're talking about, though, right? Where do you feel like you need to be brave enough to share it? And again, don't go jump all the way from, I've never talked to anybody about this to I'm going to walk onto a stage with, in front of a television audience or something like that, right? Whatever crazy jump you can make there, but go tell one person, then see how that goes. Then go tell another person, right? Then maybe you're going to share it in front of a group, right? And then maybe someday you'll turn your story into your presentation. You'll turn your story into the business card of your business, that kind of thing. So, okay, cool. So, you ready for fundamentals, Kylene?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is your favorite area.
It is my favorite area. All right. So Chandler says, yeah, I mean, I had no idea for sure. So we never know until we take action, until we try. So I love that. All right. So as I mentioned at the top, right, this is the pollinate phase. We're moving into the pollinate phase of the fundamental formula. And this is really where, if you wanted to kind of look at this as like, it's time to take your dreams, your plan, and move it from what we've been working on for the last couple of weeks of developing our business plan and kind of getting things down onto paper, kind of planning, right? This is, again, not where it's got to be perfect, but let's make sure that we think through a few things.
Yep.
But I don't want you to think that now that we're jumping to action, it's about doing more. Kylene, you and I had this conversation the other day where you just felt like, man, I don't even know how I can do anymore. And I said, well, then that maybe is where the disconnect is. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I was just going back to that conversation that you're talking about and how powerful it was just to hear you reframe it that way.
Yeah.
So
share your take on that. Why was that so powerful for you?
Because I was afraid to let go of anything. You kind of feel like to slow down, right?
Yeah.
Am I going to go backwards, right?
Yeah.
But what you were trying to say is, you got to get into some action, intentional action, purposeful. What actually matters here and why? So it just really, I don't know, it was powerful.
Yeah.
And it still is when you say it.
Yeah. But I want to get into the point too, but I wasn't sharing it for it to be powerful for you. What people don't maybe realize is when I share these things, I'm literally having a conversation with myself in my head. It just comes out and you guys get to hear it. Right. So, as I'm telling that to Kylene, I'm thinking in my own brain, like, okay, where do I need to be more intentional? Right. And because it isn't about, we all have the massive to-do list. I've seen them, right? I've seen yours, Kylene. I know what mine looks like. Chandler, I've seen yours, right? I know that you guys have plenty of things that you're doing. So when you're thinking about like, is there like this whole action thing, Aaron's trying to tell me to take more action. That's not it at all. It's, are the actions you're taking impactful? And really, maybe it's about taking less action even, right? Like, is that a worthwhile conversation to be a part of? Is that, like, I'm not saying that you should, cut things out per se, but what we're talking about here is how do we go and utilize our strengths, values, and passions, lean into that and say, what actions can I take right now that are going to matter?
Yeah. Well, and then that brings up the whole just learning to be honest with yourself. And that's where you got to let go of some of the stories that show up in those moments. And that was the other aha moment.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, so what's from a fundamental, from a, how do we make it useful, not just busy? What's a step that somebody could take, Kylene?
Right. So can you find a 15-minute window, just something like that today, to move something forward, even if it's messy, even if it's not perfect? 15 minutes. And that's how we're going to help keep momentum going. And we're going to test it here. If so, everyone tuned in line, we're going to test this out, but we're going to play some music for 2 minutes and then take some action for just 2 intentional minutes and doing one thing. So put in the comments what you're going to do for 2 minutes, and we'll start that here shortly.
Yep. Yeah. That's great. I love it, Kylene. Let's prove it out. Like, let's show that. And I think what you said, even if it's messy, right? What's an action that you can take to move things forward, right? And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, right? Chandler, I see your question there. We've got to start, and we're going to come back to that for sure. And so, again, just think about something. Whatever your gut's telling you, going back to that whole instinct thing, this is going to be one of those 9 times it's going to work out perfectly. So just whatever your gut's telling you to do. Kylene, what's your gut telling you that you should do here?
To go into my emails and organize them so I don't miss responding to the important ones.
Okay. All right. So getting down to managing your email box.
Yeah.
Okay. Chandler's going to check emails from sponsors. I am going to put some finishing touches on the second pricing webinar from today. Just want to review that quickly, right? I can do that in 2 minutes. But before we do that, you guys, while you're thinking about that, let me introduce you to something, and you guys may be familiar with it. In fact, if you have my book, it is in there, and you will see it. But let me introduce you to this kind of flywheel idea. It's called The Art of Success. I'm going to put it up on screen here real quick. And I want to share this because there are some nuances to how we take action that can be really crucial in that result, right? Like how we grow, how we take that small step, and what we do with it. And I think, unfortunately, for me, I was missing a lot of the middle part of this, where I wasn't getting a lot of value out of the action. I was just taking action. It was just busy work, right? And
Mhm.
that's the whole idea here. Even if it does feel like just busy work, is there something we can learn from it? Is there a solution at the end of it that might help reduce that busy work? At the end of the day, I want you guys to get your time back, right? As a business owner, you've given yourself the right to work every hour of every day. But the flip side of that is also true. You don't have to do anything. Right? Now, is your business going to survive if you don't do anything? Right? You're the only one. When all of a sudden sales are down, and you look back and go, well, I didn't really do anything. I hid. I was living whatever story that I was letting rule my life, and that's
Mhm.
okay, right? That doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. It means now you've learned and understand, and now you can make the change going forward. We can't change the past, and we don't want to, because that happened for a reason. It's intentional. But if you don't learn anything from it, then you're going to stay in that cycle, right? And so utilizing this idea of the art of success here helps us utilize the good bits of any action, whether it works or doesn't work, right? So
Mhm.
most of us think, that we know how to take action, right? I was like, yeah, you just do stuff, right? But we are go-getters after all, and this is the art of execution more so than the art of action. So if you make a couple small changes to how you take action, and it's going to intentionally build confidence for you, it's also going to bring some clarity, and will actually develop more momentum, because when you think about your SVPs, that's the other side of this, right? Your strengths are what you're good at. So you're just going to naturally do that. Your values are what's going to keep you in alignment, give you that clarity, right? So your strengths are the confidence, the values are the clarity, and the passions are the momentum. But if we don't go back to those enough, then we don't have it. But I think this tool right here can give us that. And so first is planning. And that's where we came from. That's what we were talking about in the last couple of weeks of Small Business Saturdays. And planning doesn't have to be overwhelming or perfect like you talked about before. It's simply a pause before you take action, before you push forward. And you say, okay, what's the next small step that I can take? Right? Just think about it a little bit. Then, pretty straightforward, we take the action, right? Nothing groundbreaking here yet. Don't overthink it. Do something, anything. Momentum loves movement, right? Like, momentum occurs when you have movement. You can't have a wheel that just sits there and you go, I don't know why it's not moving. But you give it a little push, guess what happens? It starts moving. Um, and so the smaller and easier those action steps are, the more likely you are to continue on, right? And so that's what we were talking about earlier, where we don't want to take that big, huge leap. This is where then I think most of us kind of skip. I know I did, at least. And Kylene, I don't know where you fall in this, but I skipped this part. Experience the result. That's it, right? Like, it's so simple that it's complicated. It's so simple that, we're so busy, et cetera, et cetera. And what, like you just said, it's honesty. It's too hard to be honest with ourselves sometimes.
Mhm.
But I know you are different. I know if you're listening right now, you are different, and you're willing to at least give this a shot. So take in the outcome, complete honesty, good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter. No judgment of it at all, right? Don't put any labels on it, and give yourself that opportunity. 30 seconds, right? If you can sit with it longer, even better, but no judgment. And get curious. And then that's really where then we get into the next phase. It's because if you can sit there without judgment, without attaching a story to it or anything like that, you let go of the labels, and then you get curious, that's where solutions show up. And that's what we really need. But most of us don't find the solutions because we don't experience the result. We don't sit with it enough without judgment to really be curious about it. So then the fourth step is to analyze and learn. If you took that time to experience it, you can now learn from it. You can now find solutions. What worked? What didn't? Why? Right? This is where all of the insights live. not in theory, but actually in reflection. What worked and how can I do more of that? What didn't work? Okay, I'm going to stop. But why maybe didn't it work, right? What did I miss? What's the nuance that is hiding in plain sight? So the 3 and 4 really is what a lot of us miss. Sometimes I think we go right to 4 sometimes, like, oh, what can I learn from this? But we don't have the honesty with ourselves to be able to get any actual value from it. And so we go, I'm just going to keep taking action. But if we experience the result and then we analyze and learn from that curiosity, then we can find the next action to take. But only then, right? Now we're back in motion. Use what you learned and take your next best step. Again, small step. And that keeps the flywheel going. And that's where success actually lives. It's compounded in clarity. So like we've talked about, and I think this is so crucial. Yeah, Chuck says, my problem is I want to skip past 2, 3, and 4, right? He just wants to do the planning and then find the next action, right? I get it. Yep. And that's okay, Chuck. But now you know that, right? You've just been honest with yourself enough to say that. So what could be a way that you maybe take another action today, right? Utilize the 2 minutes that we've got set up. Tell us what you're going to do. Maybe you'll reach out to a potential customer. Maybe you'll make a post on social media, maybe, right? Like whatever that is. And so now you can test it, right? Think about this as like a game. I'm going to play this game where I take an action and then I'm going to try 3 and 4 and see what, like, who knows, right? We get better at it each time we do it. So, success is not a giant leap. We've talked about it. And so I just want to repeat that because it is so crucial. I think for me, that's where I've caused myself the most damage, I guess. Not damage. What's a better way to say that kind of thing? Or just, I've created more things for myself than I needed, right? I kind of one step forward, 2 steps back, right?
Yes.
I wanted to make that one big giant leap forward instead of taking, one small step forward or 2 small steps forward. And then maybe if there's 1 step back, it's okay because I'm still in the forward momentum, right?
Yeah.
And so think of this as like compound interest. The results are going to build quietly over time until one day that you end up realizing you've become the person you're trying to grow into becoming. It's a wild ride. As I think back over my experience over the last 5 years, Kylene, it's a crazy wild ride. I'm becoming the person that I want to become. And it started with action. Am I there yet? No, not yet, but that's okay, right? I want it to continue. I don't, in a lot of ways, sometimes I go, I wonder if sometimes I'm self-sabotaging just because I'm enjoying the journey so much.
I think you're just a lifelong learner. You're always going to be growing.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. So Barb says, I agree with clarity, but I need to not super overanalyze. Yeah. Kylene, what, can you speak to that a little bit? I know that's a challenge that you've worked on as well.
Yeah, for sure. And this is, I think, where you need to be intentional to reflect, allowing yourself just to be you without that judgment. And that's where you can figure out what worked and why, and know that it's okay. Whatever happened, it is okay. And then that's where those stories we need to reframe. It's those limiting beliefs. That's where they kind of show up right there, right? You attach some meaning to it that might not be the real meaning. So for me, it's having the people around me to kind of process through using some of the tools to kind of get past it. But yeah, for sure, that's where I would definitely get stuck. Yeah. And that's where we need to be honest.
Yep. And I think you're exactly right. Again, the overanalyzing thing for me doesn't show up as much. It's just not kind of an area of strength of mine, right? I kind of am more sledgehammer sometimes than maybe, right. I got to keep that in balance as well. But I think what I've seen in others is a lot of the overanalyzing comes from that lack of honesty, that lack of stopping to let go and rip away the labels. And it's really just a process of asking, is that true? Right. I shared a question with a friend of mine recently, and she, every time I see her, she's like, that's the magic question. It's changing my life. It's amazing. And, I I use it, but it's not having the same experience for me. And so maybe she was overanalyzing things. But the magic question is, what are you pretending not to know?
Yeah.
Right. And so from that, I think that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Barb.
Yeah.
Agreeing with the clarity, but you got to let go of it and keep moving forward. And so good job by you guys on that. Yeah. So I guess, Kylene, I just want people to think of this process as like a spiral staircase. Every loop around kind of makes you stronger, wiser, and more equipped, right? You're climbing the ladder. So just keep this art of success. Just keep processing. Just keep taking the action, being honest, analyzing it. What can you learn from it? Asking those questions, and then take the next action, small bits at a time. So
yeah. And I think it's important to remember, it's not about never failing. It's about learning faster. So if you do fall or you do fail, you're learning from it and you keep going. It's just that one little small step that you survive. And then, you take your one goal and just break it down into 5 little steps, and then just keep taking that next little step forward, and you'll keep moving. So that's kind of, you survive the risk and you keep going.
Yep.
But the risk is small, so it keeps that energy moving.
Yep.
Momentum going.
Yep. All right. So are we ready to try this out?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You want to lead us into that?
Yeah. So let's try this out. Okay. So everyone has something that they're going to do for 2 minutes of intentional action. And it's not about preparing for the action. It's actually, or thinking about it or anything. It's write the text, just do it. Just get into motion. So craft the email, send it, write the social media post, actually post it, write your gratitude down list, and then maybe share it publicly. It's not about thinking time. It's action time. This is Erin's favorite word, I think, is action.
Absolutely. Yep. It is action time. So this is going to be for a live video. It's going to be a little weird, but we're just going to play this 2 minute. It's just you're going to hear some music. And again, like Kylene said, take action. We want you to report back after this 2 minutes. We're going to do the same thing. So if you're ready, Kylene, I'm going to hit it right now.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So I want to hear from people, Kylene, before we get into the wellness thing here. What action did you take? Report in on it there. Kylene, what about you? What action did you take?
Well, I got through a couple emails to delete, and then I actually responded to one. Someone confirmed an appointment time, so I was able to respond to that. And then I was in the process of adding it to the calendar, so I left it open so I can finish that when we're done.
Awesome. Look at that. Taking action. Yeah. I sent some text messages to some people I needed to check in with, cool. And yeah, that's all right. I only got their names in on the email, right? Is what Chandler said. So that's okay. That's action right now. Now you kind of start seeing that unlock, and in 2 minutes, right? That's not enough time to really get into deep action, but that's okay, right? We wanted you guys to experience that for 1 second. Now set a timer for 15 minutes after this is over, and finish off whatever you can finish off there, right? So, yeah, let's utilize this momentum that you just built in that. But take us into the wellness aspect here as we close it out, Kylene.
Yeah. So the wellness part is probably, my opinion, one of the most important parts. It allows us so we don't run out of energy, right? We keep moving forward. We keep that momentum going. So sometimes we think the hustle equals progress, but the truth is, again, we don't want to burn ourselves out to succeed. Then we take all that enjoyment, all the meaning behind it away. So aligned action, it really creates that energy and that purpose again. And that's why we always say, slow down to speed up. That's why it's so powerful.
Yep, that is powerful. Who knew that watching a random documentary on learning to become a NASCAR pit crewman would lead to such growth, right? Slow down to speed up. And, to me, Kylene, too, the other side of wellness is it means we got to learn to say no to the distractions, right? And that's not physically saying no distraction. It's saying, okay, is this a distraction? And the distractions aren't a bad thing, right? I want to make sure that I'm very clear on that. I'm not trying to say that the distractions, the taking a breath, the, sitting down, watching your show or whatever, that they're a bad thing. It's more about taking the action in the right order and then being at peace with no action at all, right? Because when we sit there and Netflix and chill all day, do you have guilt afterwards? And if you have guilt afterwards, the only reason that you have guilt afterwards is because there was a better action that you could have taken before that.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so I think real success is doing what matters when it matters, not about doing everything. Going back to what we had talked about, Kylene, that it's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things and maybe in the right order. So what are your thoughts there?
And that's where that mindset part comes in, is changing those stories you're attaching to it. Because when we're aligned and we're in that zone of passion and we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, our energy just naturally increases. That sense of fulfillment is there. All of it is just kind of going together and our vibration is rising. So at the end of each day, I encourage you to ask yourself what worked and what didn't have the result that I expected. Again, like Aaron always says, no judgment attached to it. Just answer the question for yourself.
Yeah.
And then another question could be, what would my future me thank me for or challenge me on? Reflecting on your day.
Yeah.
And then what will I love getting to do tomorrow?
Sorry, that was a typo on my part.
And then most importantly, what learning am I grateful for today? Coming back to gratitude here. At the end of each day, if you can come back to gratitude and appreciating everything that happened, good or bad, challenging, whatever it might be, once we learn to appreciate it, we're able to change that story so much easier. Not to say that it didn't happen, but what can we learn from it and grow from?
Yep. Awesome. All right. Well, I put those questions into the comments too. So if you guys wanted to copy and paste them into your, just print it out, have it sitting by your bedstand or, maybe taped onto your bathroom mirror, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What worked and what didn't work to have the results that I expected? What would my future me thank me for or challenge me on? I think that's probably one of the most important things. We actually wrote a note on our refrigerator door that just says "Future Me."
Yep.
Right. So, is that extra bowl of ice cream going to be something our future me thanks us for?
I
We'll do
don't
it.
know what you're talking about.
But, yeah. And what will I love getting to do tomorrow? And then, as you said, Kylene, most importantly, what learning am I grateful for today?
Yeah.
And if you can close your day with that each and every day, just imagine what your future is going to be like. I think that's huge, Kylene. So
Yeah. Yeah, that daily reflection loop, it just helps your body and your brain stay in balance and alignment. It's building that harmony and some movement, peace, quiet, all that will be more productive as a result. And it truly is a gift to you to take that time to reflect. There's so many amazing benefits from it. We just have to choose to do it.
yep, absolutely. All right, let me get that in there. All right, so let's close this with a challenge. Let's challenge people. We talked about it already. We practiced it with 2 minutes, but I want to challenge you to do that 15 minutes. Give yourself that 15 minutes of action only, not thinking, not but actually doing. Right, and it doesn't have to be big. In fact, it probably should not be big. You're probably better off if it's a smaller step, but just something that moves you forward. And then here's what I'd really love to challenge you to do is find a way that you can do an action that you're going to commit to 7 days a week. Today, take that action you did during our music break and set a timer for another 15, 13 minutes if you want to be precise, right? um, do the same thing, action only, no thinking, right? But what can you commit to doing 7 days a week?
Yeah. Yep. I like that. I'm gonna have to go back to my email. I
Okay.
think that. How about you?
Yeah, I just got to complete reaching out to people with the big new opportunity role that I'm involved with. I need to make sure that I talk to plenty of people to make sure that there's clarity and everybody understands what it is that I'm doing. So for those of you that didn't hear, I have taken on a secondary role, not instead of our success group, but worked it out with them that they're comfortable with me continuing to run our success group while taking on this official role in their company as the education and outreach partner for American Print and Supply. So I started this last week, well, this week, I guess. I was up there on Thursday and kind of made the final determination on Friday, yesterday, and made it an official announcement on Two Regular Guys yesterday. So that's what I'm going to be working on, is just making sure that I talk to everybody and let everybody know what's going on. So I've already talked to the Masters of Success folks and whatnot, but OSG community as a whole here, all good. This is actually really, really a good step because it allows me to come from a place of more impact, more abundance, and not always be focused on the scarcity aspect of how do I sign people up, blah, blah, blah. Right? So,
Yeah, I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Chandler says, yeah, I need more clarity. How much can I bother you still? I'll tell you when to stop, Chandler, but the likelihood of me telling you that is nothing. So there's nothing between there.
He loves it.
Yes. So please do not stop. Do not think that you have to turn down at all. It actually, again, I think allows for even more. So,
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Excited for you and them. Yeah. So as I mentioned, movement, peace, and calm is just as important as action. Balance is truly, the word that we're using here. So if you want to move your body, reset your energy, calm your mind, please join me Thursday morning at 6:30 Central Time for a gentle yoga class. It's a half hour. You can go to riseshinesmile.com. You'll sign up, and then you get sent an email with the Zoom link, and then you'll just join us. Yoga is for everyone. It truly is about calming your mind and building that harmony again between your mind and your body. When you get that into alignment, then all these action things that we are talking about is that much easier and more enjoyable. Please join me. Reach out if you have any questions. And it is a donation donation-based class. So you no commitment. You just sign up, and if donate what you can. What's that?
It didn't. Anyhow, sorry. Keep going. I got distracted. I'll tell you later.
Okay. So just, I want everyone to experience yoga. And once you experience it, then you get to decide if it's something that's for you or not. But
Yeah.
please try it. I'd be honored if you guys joined us.
Yeah, check in there. And, like she talked about it is for our nervous system. It's for, so maybe you've got something big coming up next week, right? Maybe you've got something big coming up down the road. Try this out. See if this is going to help you, right? Somebody on my podcast suggested like doing a Monster Energy drink before a big sales call. And while I think that's interesting, I think you're going to be better off doing some yoga, right? And so if you show up on Thursday and learn from Kylene, you'll have a few things that you can do to move your body and reset your mind. And then you can ask her to do it more often, right? And things like that. So, but you got to show up first. So
yes, yep. So please reach out. Let us know if you have questions. And then don't forget to connect with us and other business owners at the Facebook page, the Entrepreneurs Success Hub. So the link, if you're not already a member, is the osg.link/group, and you can join us over there.
Yep, absolutely. So check that out. And even if you are a member, jump in there. Let's keep the engagement up and the comments happening and the posts starting. The more you guys comment, the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. So if you're not active in that group, now's the time to change that. So, and then we do go live every Saturday, or at least have a recorded show. And the conversations do keep going throughout the week in the group. And then make sure that you are checking out that Zoom Gentle Yoga with Kylene. Again, I'll put that up on screen one more time for you if I can find it. Yep, riseshinesmile.com. And I have people tell me all the time that they love Kylene's yoga sessions for multiple reasons. But one of the common themes is how calming yet energizing it is to be led by Kylene through this practice. And, if yoga is the thing that's holding you back, right? If that word is what the limiting belief is, then just come for gentle energy with Kylene.
Some stretching. You can call it call that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Aaron. That's a really good point. People have an idea what they think yoga is, and that's not me. So it's more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you guys. So theme from today, small steps will equate to big wins. You've got this. We believe in you guys, and we can't wait until we get to talk to you guys next week. Going back to the fundamental formula, we're going to be talking about the accountability framework and how we build our success team using our strengths, values, and passions as well. So can't wait for that conversation next week, Kylene.
Yep, me too. Thank you guys for joining us today. Have a great week.
Dark days, overwhelmed, trapped in a maze. Small business owner, stress had me in a daze. Every problem piled up, couldn't catch a break. Thought I couldn't make it, my dreams were at stake. But then I found a group that changed my whole perspective. Our success group of a community so effective. We all chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke through, we